extension there as well. Let me go to the chair of the chairman of the Galway Technology Centre and CEO of Galway Chamber, Kenny Deery, joins me on the line today. Kenny, a very special day indeed for all involved in the GTC.
It's a very special day for GTC, Keith. Good morning, but it's also a special day for Galway. As I'm talking to you, I'm up on the top floor of one of the Bonham Towers here in Genesys, where the Taoiseach has just arrived, and there's a great energy, and it's a great showcase again of what we can do when we work together in Galway. So he's here officially launching the Genesys building, which will see over 350 staff come into the top 5 floors. And then he's out at the University of Galway. He has a number of private meetings. He's launching a significant R&D piece of work entitled ICAT. I'm not 100% certain what it is. I don't think you and I think we'd be looking at it, Keith, trying to figure out what it is, but it's in the medical technology space. And then, of course, he's with ourselves in Galway Technology Centre at 2:00. And it's a super day for the team there. As you know, Galway Technology Centre has a long and rich history that emanated from darker days going back in the early 90s with the digital closure. And over the years, there have been many volunteers and many committees involved in it. And if we look at the chairs over the years, you had Joe Higgins, you had poor Sean Kinsella, God rest him, now deceased, you had Peter Allen, and more recently we've had Frank Green for the last 10 years. And it's a testament to their phenomenal work and contribution, and the committees that served under them, and indeed the staff that served under them over the years, to now having the team in place under the leadership of Ollie Daniels and Noreen Conway, Brian Muldoon, and indeed their team members out on site. It's hugely special. And also, I think, for the members there, Keith, at the moment, there's over 40 companies employing 350 people on site. And with this development, for your listeners, the work has already started. We had hoped to have the Taoiseach earlier in the summer, and he was anxious to get to us, but we needed to move on with the project because there's significant demand for space. So it's a 4-story extension, which on that site, actually, it's quite a high site. So no more than the views that we have here at Bonham today, there'll be a great sense of perspective of Galway from that site in Merview when complete by next June. But it will see the capacity in the building go to over 500 high-value jobs. And I think there's a big piece about this this milestone today, and also what we're trying to achieve, is it's about Galway, but it's about how GTC, and as it evolves, can impact the wider region and help stimulate jobs across Mayo, Roscommon, County Galway, as well as the city. So we're super proud.
Wasn't it really futuristic all those years ago? And I know some people put their neck on the block to start this, and I'm not naming names today, but some people definitely put their neck on the block. And now we have the Portershed, and we have all of the other startup areas that we have in incubation units. But the GTC was the first one.
The GTC was the first one, and as I say, it came from quite a shock at the time when you had, digital as it was closed. And there was a task force pulled together at the time, and there were many partners involved in that task force, and those that have remained. And GTC is very much a partnership between Galway Chamber and Westbic. And I'm delighted that today at the podium, the leadership of Westbic will be joining members of the Chamber and indeed myself on stage. And it just shows what can happen when you work together. And I think the Westbic integration on site there has been hugely powerful, Keith, for some of the companies and the jobs that they've created as well. Because as we know, you might know your tech, and going back in the early days, there were about 8 entrepreneurs that took space in a fairly basic rudimentary space. And it's interesting, where we'll have the Taoiseach today and where the stage is for the event is going to be, is in the section of the building where it all started. And my understanding from looking at images at the time is it was fairly basic now. We've none of the fandangle technology that's surrounding me here now today, or indeed that we have out on site in Merview. And funding is critical. Like, you need an ecosystem and you need to help fund the businesses. So it's one thing having an idea. There's lots of ideas, but how do you germinate it and how do you bring it to fruition? And I think that partnership over time with fantastic people, both on the boards, and some board members have been there for not just years, but decades. And it was a labour of love. But also with the Westbic model there, gave businesses access to working with Enterprise Ireland to equip them with the language that was needed for Enterprise Ireland and in achieving funding, and also to working with angel investors and with the WDC and with the banks and everything else. So I think that partnership has been huge. And I think the other piece, Keith, it would be remiss of me not to mention our main funders being Enterprise Ireland. Like the GTC allocation of funding for this project was 4.04 million. That's significant, and that in the most recent, or in the last round of regional enterprise development funding, where it was allocated from, that was the biggest allocation. And I think for Galway, we should be super proud of what we've achieved from Enterprise Ireland in the last 12 to 18 months. As you mentioned, Portershed, but also the iHub, the University at the iHub at the ATU as it is now, the University of Galway, Skull Enterprises. Crew are going to turn sod with Niamh Costello as CEO on site in the next 2 months. So the investments keep coming, and I think that's a testament to the great, I suppose, voluntary committees that we have around Galway and the ambition that we have, and also showcasing what we've achieved so far. And that's why I think this is significant. And the important piece for now and over the next few years as we move on from this, Keith, is what can hopefully be done at the regional level. And some new roles are part of this funding as well. So Noreen Conway and Brian Muldoon have taken on regional remits, looking at client scaling and regional interfacing with businesses, so that what we're doing in Galway, we can bring out to the regions as well through events, and I suppose level up the ecosystem and try and build capacity, because it's so badly needed.
So well done to all involved in it. Again, I say futuristic, and I'm thinking of the founding members, some of them still with us today. And I hope they will all be in attendance as well today. But well done to you. Listen, thank you. And I do know that Mayor of Galway, Clodagh Higgins, is going to be there. Carl Gibbons, Division Manager and Head of Regions with Local Enterprise and Enterprise Ireland. Your good self as Chairman, Ollie Daniels as CEO, and John Brennan as board member and CEO of Westbic as well. So it's, as you said, it's getting on together. Finally, is it possible at some stage to quantify from day one, day dot, to maybe next year as to what it has been worth to the state and the country, all the work that has been achieved since it started?
There has been some assessment done when we marked scaling our legacy, when we marked a 25-year milestone in terms of GTC's impact. And really it's about jobs and the jobs that have been created. Yeah. And at that point in time, it was a 1.2 billion gross value add to Galway. And they were through difficult times. Yeah. And I think the ambition as we go forward over the next 15 years is you multiply that and you look at it now and you look at the jobs in tech. And you look at the type of, how would I put it, the pace with which tech companies scale is much quicker than many other industries. So we're looking ambitiously at what's being achieved and what's being launched today and being built out. It's not just about a building, but at a regional level. The view in the next 5 years is an additional 800 jobs will come from this project, but on a regional level over the next 15 years, there are ambition for the region of 12 to 15,000 jobs. Again, it depends on where you start, and I think we're perfectly firm. The springboard to begin is having all the funding partners around the table. And when you look in the Westbic model, even Gillian Buckley is chair of Westbic at the moment. Gillian is in the Western Development Commission. We have strong relationship with many of the team. Maeve Conaghan as Regional Manager West for Enterprise Ireland is working closely with those companies, and indeed Noreen and Brian as they evolve into their role, as well as the chambers across the West. So I think any company that comes in and integrates and begins to work through their ideas really couldn't be better positioned, because there's such a thriving and supportive ecosystem. And I'll finish on a comment. It was interesting, Leo Clancy from Enterprise Ireland, when he was in Galway a few weeks ago for the ICS medical launch, which was an additional 100 jobs, bringing them to 150 on site in Ballybrit. He talked about Galway being unique, and it didn't matter if you were a competitor or what industry you were in. Galway was celebrating other Galway companies' successes. And Enterprise Ireland recognised that at a national level. And I think that's hugely powerful, and why we're doing well at the moment. And it's about now trying to bring that out to the region and help level up the wider ecosystem.
Listen, well done to you. Better let you go back to the Taoiseach, indeed, Micheál Martin. He has a full day, but we better let you go back to him today. Kenny Deery, thank you for joining us today. Quick commercial break. We're back just after these. Good morning to you.
Galway Talks in association with